And good morning. This is Monday, November 16th. Welcome to the Hawkeye session. Trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in the foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor, if you have any doubts. This is Monday morning, November 16th, and we're going to be going until about 9:30 this morning. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trades taken during the live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money that you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. And having said all that, let's go to the charts. So we're looking at the Aussie USD. We had an alert at 6:30 this morning. And let me change my screen here. And new share. We're going to share the, there we go. And we had an alert at 6:30, and it was an ascending wedge. Now, what I did this time, I'm just trying to figure out what the daily moves, projected daily moves are. And this is the move that we had. This was the high and the low of Friday's move. And you can see I made a green box because it closed, the daily range closed bullish. And as we had this range of the new day, which is now Monday now, this was the overlap. So I made that the demand zone right in here. And so right now it's still somewhat bullish, but it's coming up right to this other supply zone all the way up here based on a 1 hour chart. I was looking to see where as this thing moves up, where's it going to be? Probably find some sellers. And we have two zones up here. So I'm going to be looking at this more like a trap area. And it looks like that may be starting to play out as my suspicions projected. You can see that it broke out of this was the daily range before the alert came up. It still tagged this trend line. So right now our BD line has been confirmed. We have an anchor, we have a hit, we have another hit, we have four hits along this trend line up here. So I'm going to confirm that one. I'm going to take it from there to the D, to the high, and we're going to just make this one as a confirmed trend. It just gives us a little bit of something to work with. And it came now bounce off that. Right now it's still in this range. This is the 8 o'clock bar. I'm going to move this thing over just so we can see where 9 o'clock comes in, because we've been noticing that we have a lot of decent moves somewhere just before 9 o'clock. It usually oftentimes has a nice little move. You can see where this thing's sort of trapped up here. It broke out of the range, broke out of the, and it just tagged the upper line. So it didn't really break out of it's just continuing the range just in an ascending pattern. And now we're looking to see if it's going to break down through the bottom here. I'm not real thrilled about this trade, at least not right yet. It seems to be somewhat range bound. If we were to be looking at anything, I'd be looking, maybe seeing if there's enough room in this range between as this wedge gets smaller and smaller as it goes further out. We have 24 pips. You could possibly have taken a short here with using the stop up above. And you may be able to do the same thing. If it breaks out of the bottom, you may be able to break out and see if you can get 7 pips from the breakout to where this demand zone is. That'll give us 12 pips. It's a possibility that for breaks, you could maybe get your 5 or 7 pips in this region right in here. So, but this is the demand zone. This is based on the overlap of the Friday's high and the Sunday, Monday low. So that's where we're at right now. Right now it's inside the box, so to speak, and we're just going to have to be patient and see what happens. But this is the range. I'm going to take this box out. We can see where our trades are, where the range has been, how it's been trading so far. And we'll just wait and see. Right now, we did get this on up to the it didn't quite, the blue RSIs, which is the 3-period RSI, it did get up above the 70. I put a little blue line here above the 75 area. This is still the 40-60 zone. Here's the 89 all the way up here at the top. It didn't quite get up that high. You do have a little bit of a divergence here. From here's this high, here's a high, here's a higher high, here's a lower. So right now we have some divergence on this 15-minute chart. That may give some sign that may break to the downside. And I'm going to mark that off here. In fact, that this thing held for the 4th hit is somewhat significant, I think. So we have some divergence there. And we have some divergence down here on the lower end. You see how this thing is just starting to slope down. This came out of the 75 area. And we're just sort of taking a look at it. We'll just keep an eye on it and see what it tells us any more of a story. And some of my other charts on this thing to say, go see if I can find some other indications that sees which way this thing's going. And I do like the fact this had such a strong move on Friday makes me think it's going to get back some of that, probably retest this area. If it comes down, retest this demand zone, I might be thinking about taking it long at that point, depending on what everything else is telling me.
Al, how far away is the 30-minute 62?
That's a good question. The 30-minute 62 is, oh, I gotta get up here. Let me see. Oh, there's 30-minute, where is it? Let's see.
Must be, seem pretty, no.
I'm not even, it's gotta be closer than that. Let's see.
Yeah.
I might not have it turned on here. Let me see if I do. Oh, there it is. That's why it's not. I'm not seeing it. There it is. It's right here. It's right in our demand zone.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's again, that's another good indication where this thing could come down. You see a lot of times, that's the target that it goes for, is that 30-minute 62. But it's gonna have to get through the 15. It's gonna have to get through all this. It's probably not gonna be a clear shot. And if we look at our other charts, we're starting to get some consolidation. Right now it's bouncing off the 5-minute 62, which is inside the wedge. We're getting the crossovers on our, see, that's 50-minute chart. Let's get on a 1-minute chart over here. We have the crossovers on the 1 minute. And it looks like it's probably going to be heading on down to retesting this area. But right now, it's all our moving averages are right in the middle of this range right in here. If you pull the measurement on this from here to where the crossover is, that's about 10 pips, and then another down here, that's another 14 pips. So right now, we're a little bit in the bottom third of this range right in here right now.
You've got a question from Beach Panda Al. He says, when divergence is recognized based upon the RSI, do we look to follow the RSI for direction, bullish/bearish, in anticipation of a trade opportunity?
I would say yes to that. Yeah, but you still want to see all your crossovers. You want to see everything. You want to get confirmation that it's moving that direction. The higher the time frame you get the divergence, the more accurate and more reliable the divergence is. If you get a divergence on like a 1-minute chart, it doesn't really mean a whole lot, other than the fact that you can see where it's starting to maybe slow down in whatever direction it was going. This probably really would not be a bad trade in here. I wouldn't take it now, but as you had that 4th bounce off of this this trend line, that was a nice little bounce right off of that. It did kind of break the wedge trend that we had, but it's just a matter of tweaking it here. But it's all well within the same range. And you can see that we have the confirmation, and now we don't have confirmation down here yet. I don't think. Get on a higher time frame.
He says, I understand that the divergence is just another indicator and not the oracle that you are.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you are.
But I mean, I do like this range right here. If we were to make this, get this stick on this, This is not a bad little range if it breaks, but I just don't know if I went to. I'm not sure I'd ready. It's the fact I would be definitely looking for a bounce off of here. So if you want to take it short, even if like to take it short now would not be totally crazy, but I'm not doing it. We did get the break of the 62. We have the crossovers here. We don't have the crossover. Everything's not moving in the right direction over in this area. You see where our 62, our 1562 is still down here. Our 30 is still down here. It starts to get through all this, but it is showing some weakness. We did get up here to where on the 5-minute chart, we did get the 8-period moving average above the 75 area, that would be a good indication that this thing did peak out. If you were going to take it short, you probably would have tried taking off the bounce off of here. With this RSI being up here to 75, everything was up here. We had the bounce, we had the confirmation that this held. You could have taken it off that with the stop above here, and then you maybe catch this move going down. But there again, you still have to be looking at the distance from here to here, because this is going to be your first bounce. It did penetrate it, but right now this is the upper third of this range. There's the bottom third of this range. Now, if it breaks through here, this would be like the, let's see. Like I said, you have probably about 7. If it were to break here, you'll barely get your 7 pips out of this till you get your spread paid for. You have almost 1.5 point spread. I just like to see a little bit more confirmation, a little bit more room. I would rather see everything being in the right order on the 15.5 and the 1. You're still going to have a bounce here. You're still going to have trouble getting through the wedge here. It's probably one to watch, not so much one to take on this, the way I'm seeing this one right now.
Yeah, it still seems a little early, right, Al?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit early. So, good morning, Matt.
Good morning. You've been around for a while. I've been listening to your commentary and observations.
So right now, this is all we really have showing right now. But we'll keep an eye on it. Does anybody have any questions? Nope, everything. So Monday mornings, oftentimes I just let things sort of stabilize and let the positions let the big guys take their positions and see which way they're going to drive the market for the week. And oftentimes in a Monday morning, I'm more in the observation mode than I am in the take the trade mode. And that's about all I have to say about that. We'll just keep moving this thing around here, and we'll just keep going. I said right now we're coming into the bottom third of this range of the wedge, and we're going to see if it's going to bounce off the bottom. What kind of a reaction we can get off the bottom of this. Right now we're showing dollar strength to the Aussie, but not up by a whole lot on the 15. Showing a little bit stronger 6-point spread on the 5-minute, 6-point spread on the 1 minute. So that's giving some support to taking it short. Like I said, we did have the 75, did have the RSI hit the 75 level on the 1 minute. It didn't quite make it on the 5, and it didn't quite make it over here on the 15 either.
Question.
Yes.
Now, it wouldn't be totally crazy to take a trade. Say you see on the 5-minute, for example, you see you have those 2 candles that are basically they close the same, and then right now you're waiting for the close on the candle, that last candle. Yeah. So
here?
if you had a close below there, right? So you've passed and everything's in order. Just so that you can get your 7 pips.
Well, what I would still need to see it break the wedge, come back up, retest the wedge, and then come back down to test this. Now the question is there enough room? Here would be the question: is first off, is there enough room between a possible break here
Mhm,
down to where this range is going to be? And that's 18 pips, so that's not bad.
mhm.
So you have to have a come down break. So I would want to see I want to see do one of these things. So let's say you get a break. And this is what we used to do when we started looking at these wedges. So back when we first started with this, get the break, it breaks there, closes, comes back up, retests the wedge, and then comes back down, hits our target. That's the move I'm looking for here.
Mhm.
But I'm just going to be sliding over till, and I don't want this to go. I mean, I want to see as we look at this 5-minute chart, that it's got to break and close below these the close right. If you look at this where this pivot low is, which was basically right here.
Right.
And here's the body, here's where the body of these candles. So right now, this is the low as it got. And so what I'd be looking at is I would be drawing my area of, I want to see it close inside the box area.
And just close.
So this would be the enter one close area. So if it comes down here and just wicks in here and comes back out, that could be the retest. If it comes down, hits the box, comes back up, and it can't close above the wedge, then you could probably take the trade and use the last red candle body as your stop area. Right now we have this is a nice little rundown. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight candles in a row are all red. They're probably going to get somewhat of a bounce in this area. And we'll just play this and just watch and see what it does. It may give us a trade. Let's see. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll play it by ear here. But this is the range of the wedge. So I'm going to take it from there to there. We're going to be down over here and see where the potential target be. And if it breaks, I mean, that's a nice little move. So I mean, we may get something out of this thing. I'm seeing a lot of weakness right now. And the fact that this came up into this supply zone up here, that makes me think that it's probably going to be testing this area. And remember, this was all the move on Friday. This here, this was a range on Friday, this green box. So if it can break through here, then it could come all the way down to the bottom of this box, which could be right over in this area right here. So this could be the secondary demand zone. Here was the low, came back up, retested the low. So this area right in here would be something to be noting as far as a possible target if it can break the other one.
Al, Beach Panda has a question.
Yes.
Um, for a potential trade with the RSC and the RSI where they are, shouldn't those indicators also be in alignment?
Let me think about that one. The let's see, what's it?
RCS, you mean?
Potential trade with the RCS. Okay, the RCS, that'd be the, that and the RSI, where they are, should they? Yes, they should be in alignment. Yeah, the more you can get things in the same direction and more alignment, the more, the higher the confirmation is. The more different indicators you have that are telling you the same story, just gives you a higher probability of the trade. So let's see what we've got here. So right now I'm seeing this thing coming down into an extreme area, but there is some higher time frame pressure to the downside. But as I said, I'm going to be noting this 62 here on the 15-minute. This one is 1562. Bring this up, slide it on over. That's it right here. duplicate on there. Try, you can see it. That's right where the top of this wedge is, right here at this 15-minute 62. And you can see that here's the bounce. Didn't break the wedge. And right now this thing's still somewhat range bound. Now, if you look on your 1 minute chart, you can see that all your RSIs are down here below the 70 and it's now starting to point up. Again, this could be a bounce. You could be, again, do you want to be taking this long knowing that you have these other moving averages up above you? To me, my answer to that is no. We did get the cross of the 5 and 13 on the 5 minute, have cross of the 5 and 13 and the 62 on the 1 minute. So the 1 minute's all in the right direction to go short. The 5 is getting there, but it's not quite there yet. I'd like to see this 1362 cross on the 5 minute chart. And we're looking and we're seeing we have the 513 cross on the 15. So there is a lot of argument to the downside, but I still want to wait for it to break through the wedge. If it can break through the wedge and close and come back up, that means it's also going to break and close on this 1560 on the 15-minute 62, which could give us the break to come to this downside. Let's see here. Right now, I'm seeing the dollar is still strong on all 3 time frames. I'd like to see a little bit more of a spread on the 15. It may get there by the time this thing breaks to the bottom. So we're just going to be patient with this. If it does break, I want to have my stop above at least above probably this candle right here, where I have a little bit of protection with the moving averages. I like to keep my stop above all those moving averages if I can. Now the question is, how much of a stop will I need to make that happen? And if it breaks and comes back down, if we get in right here at the wedge, we'd be looking at a stop up here of about 11. That's not too bad. It keeps us a little bit out of harm's way with the 562 and all 3 moving averages would give you a little bit of a protection and have it stop up pretty much out of the way there. So that's probably what I would be looking at. If I do take it short, I'd be looking at 1-to-1 trade with using this as my target, probably the 30-minute 62 as my target, my conservative target. Now, the further this thing goes to the right, the longer it takes for it to break the wedge, the more room you have to get to the demand zone. But remember that the 30-minute is still going to keep on creeping on up along with it. It is in somewhat a little bit of an uptrend here. It's very ever so slight, but still. Now this could just be a nice little pullback. As it does have some strength to the downside. Hasn't broken the wedge. But it's also forming, if you look here real closely on this 1 minute, you're seeing it. This was a nice strong move down. Here's a drop, base, drop, base, drop, base, drop. Now it's coming back up to probably retest this area right in here. If it can reject this area, I would say, this is, I don't know, 1 minute chart there. This would be an aggressive move to take it short up in this area. But right now I'm looking at this as being a retest area. Probably bring it down a little bit more to where these blue candles are.
Al, did you know there was a new alert?
I did not.
At 8:15, we have a descending wedge on New Zealand, US.
New Zealand, okay, descending on New Zealand, US. Let me take a look at that on another chart here and see if it's worth something to take a look at here. Descending New Zealand, you say?
Mm-hmm. 8:15.
At 8:15. Yes, it looks a little bit, this does look different than the one we're looking at.
Are you going to share your screen on it? Or?
Oh, I'm just kind of drawing out. I'm just taking a big, right now I'm kind of focused on this Aussie right now. This Aussie looks like it's has some good possibilities here. I'm just trying to see which one may look better. Looks like the New Zealand US could be breaking out at the bottom of the wedge, but it may also give us a head fake too. I'm not quite sure with the analysis on it yet. Matt, are you still here? Did we lose Matt?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Must have stepped away for a moment.
Yep. I actually like this Aussie short. I like the back to back came right up here, it bounced, and now we're getting a little bit of a nice flag pull down, nice strong move down, came back up. Here's our flag, and as it's breaking out, this thing could be. This is sort of like the basin area before the top of the wedge. I could see this thing coming down, break down. But I also want to see if it breaks down. I want to see it come back and retest the wedge. This would have been an early entry, very early entry, because it's still inside here, but we are looking at where we do have the strength to the, and at this point, if you did take it up here, I would be looking at the stop above the, if these moving averages cross over, if the green crosses over the yellow, you may be getting out of this trade if you did get into it. And so this is an aggressive entry. Right now, as long as this green moving average can stay below the, and not close above the yellow, this might be another retest. See, it came back down, retested the wedge. We're all within about, see, 72.87. It's within 2 pips of the the original wedge that we had. So we know there's some buyers coming in, but down there. I do like the fact this thing kind of came up and just hooked right below it.
Very wiki here.
Yeah, this could be a possible sell stop if it can. Let's do a sell limit at this point, maybe right here at the. I don't know if you'll be able to get into it or not. If I like to sell, I would like if you're looking at this range to take it to for another bounce down to here, I'd be looking at a sell stop right around the bottom of this red candle. So this is inside the wedge. This is it's an early entry. It's a aggressive move, but it will give you a little bit earlier entry. If it goes and breaks through this whole thing, if this can hold, then I'll do an aggressive entry right here at the bottom of these candles right here. If this thing breaks through the top of this, then all bets are off. Right now I'm out of harm's way. I can put the trade on with a sell stop, put it below at the 72.89 area. That way it comes back through, that we end the trade, and the stop would be up above the 62 up here. That's has us in the trade right now. So my stop is going to be up here by the 62. Go with a 12 pip target. I'm going to go with a 12 pip stop. Then we'll adjust it once we see it where it looks like on the charts.
Yeah, that looks like an all right entry.
Yeah, I mean, it's aggressive. We're taking a swing of the bat here, but instead if it comes up and breaks through here, then we'll get stopped out. We'll lose 6 pips on it. But right now, but if the target can be, if we can get the target down here by the 30-minute, that gives us a 2-to-1 ratio on there. So it's worth a shot. Let's see how our RCS, right now we're still showing strong with the dollar strength to the downside. Our whole moving averages are red and red on the 15 and the 5. We just have a little bit of a pullback here on the 1 minute. We'll just see if this retest is going to work and if it holds. Now we do have the cross of the 5 and the 13. And the 15-minute moving average is still moving up. Yeah, it just got stopped out. And we'll see if it's going to come up and retest the top of the wedge again. That's why I said this was aggressive. This had to get through this retest area. So right now it still seems to be range bound inside the original wedge. We can take this one off. That window didn't work there. Take this off. This didn't work. Our 1562 is still in play. It's still pointing up, so it still has a little bit of strength on the 15-minute. Now keep in mind that Friday this pair was very bullish on Friday, and now could just be continuing its move to the upside. This was a Friday's range, closed bullish. Now Thursday, it was the range, but it closed bearish on Thursday. So if we draw the daily range box on this one, here is the high, here is the low, and it closed red.
Were you on the charts early this morning, Al?
I got on about 7:15 or so.
Okay. Any other setups before 7
Well,
or
no, this
kinda-
was the only one. We did get a New Zealand trade right at 8:15. We haven't really addressed that one yet. If you want to take a look at that one, see what you think on New Zealand US.
I will. So, well, we're at the top of a run, so let me see.
Right now we're showing on the 15-minute, we're showing that the Aussie just flipped to the strong side, came back down. Right now the moving averages or the RSIs are still kind of going sideways. A lot of it's just hanging right around in this little 1460 area, 4060 area. So there's no real strong confirmation of the fact that it's still maintained its range inside the wedge as the wedge gets smaller and smaller as it gets further to the right of the wedge.
And you said the Kiwi US alert was at 8:15?
Yes. It was descending wedge.
Yeah, that's an easy descending wedge. Looks good. Give me a bit, I'll be right back. I'll do some analysis on it and I'll see what we got.
You can see that this 62 right now is starting to flatten out a little bit. We had this candle came right down, just tagged it right smack dab on the moving average, right at the wedge. Pretty much need to see this wedge break before we get confirmed to take it, break and close. I still want to see a close to take short. Like I said, that trade that I took earlier, that was it was very aggressive. It was off a 1 minute chart supply zone where it had a little drop base. And actually, if you look and see where it did, how far it went up, it did break this little zone, but it did come up and this one right above it held. There was a little bit of how am I trying to say? There was two supply zones on top of each other. This still has room to the downside. But I said I still want to see it break through the bottom of this wedge first. I do like the fact that the 30-minute 62 is sitting right down here as we had the 1 minute was crossed and everything's moving in the right direction. The 5-minute cross is moving in the right direction. And we had a bounce off the 5-minute, the 15. Also, the fact that this thing was real bullish on Friday, but it was bearish on the day before. So that means this was this area is probably going to get retested. There's a good chance this area is going to get retested before it goes up higher. We'll see if it can break the wedge, come back here, close, and then retest like we were looking at earlier. You know, looking for a break, a close, a retest, target. Any questions so far?
Doesn't appear to be any.
All right, now we're still showing dollar strength. Dollar second currency of the pair. And so if dollar is strong, we're looking at strength to the downside. The fact that this pair has such a huge run up on Friday, that it doesn't surprise me to see that it's giving back some of those gains to probably take another run at the high of it. Look at our 15-minute chart. Like I said, this was the move Thursday, ended up bearish, came back down, and then from here, this was the low, came back, and now it's making some retesting the high, which was the high of Wednesday. So this was the Wednesday high area. Wednesday was also a bearish day. So we had 2 days in a row that was bearish. And now we have a bottom. Now the question is it going to maintain this range or is it going to break out of the top? And again, we don't know the answer to that.
Well, a brand new alert came through for it, also ascending. So
Same pair?
yeah.
And that's what it was earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So just confirming the ascending, but as it's, I mean, basically it's just confirming that it's staying inside this this channel here. Right now, I still like it to the more to the side going short. And a lot of that, we had the divergence up here, still have the divergence down here. This is on a 15-minute chart, which gives a little bit more weight to the downside.
Okay.
And with that, we still wait. In fact, we had the divergence, this little area right here on the 15-minute. I'd be looking at this as a possible area for it to bounce and get retested.
So there's a question here from Beach Panda. On the Aussie US, why are we looking potentially to move against the current trend and just follow it, since we have two IRIS alerts out on the same pair and the second confirms the direction trend?
A lot of times when we get the ascending wedges, a lot of times, depending on where it is in the mix, a lot of times it will break to the downside on an ascending. It comes up, flags it, and then when it breaks the bottom, then it really makes a big, strong move down. Right now, we're pretty much right at the top of a move, which was right where this area came from over here with the Thursday high. And it came up, it tested this area, couldn't break through it. And then we got another wedge alert thinking. So right now, this is an area that I'm looking at. It's starting to change. The overall trend is starting to give some argument to changing direction. Wedges are either the continuation patterns or the reversal patterns. The reversal, when it's at the top of a move, is continuation when it's in the middle of a move. Right now, I'm looking at this as being more of a reversal, where it's at the top of the move as opposed to being a continuation pattern. So that's why I'm favoring it, looking more towards the downside break. It came up here. We had two zones right here where it couldn't break through. It tried here, couldn't get through, and we have 3 areas right now of supply up above this whole area. We had the 4th hit on this trend line, and we're already at the Thursdays. We already broke Thursday's high, but we didn't really close. If we look at where the Thursday's high is over here, that's the high. You go over here, you see I'm not sure you're going to even see it. Oh yeah, this one. This 15-minute candle did break, but you see an awful lot of activity right here trying to get through, and it hasn't been able to do that yet. That's why I'm looking at this as being more of a reversal.
So he's asking, would the second IRIS alert be a solid confirmation for a reversal of the previous alert?
I would say I would not hang my hat on that. I don't know what the algorithm on the IRIS alerts, what generates the alerts. So not knowing what causes it to generate it. Whether it says it's ascending or descending, it doesn't always, I'm not sure what, I've seen many times where it says it's an ascending wedge, and you have to look at the higher time frames, the overall trend, to see which way it's going. But oftentimes too, is even though it says it'll give you what the wedge is initially. So I don't put a lot of weight on what direction the IRIS alert says it's going, ascending or descending. I'm just looking more to see, is it channeling up or is it channeling down? And where are the pivot points? Where am I looking at for the pivot points? This one seemed pretty clear to me that from the overall direction, it was in a channel, but it was in a descending. You see the wedge is getting smaller and smaller further out it goes. That's one reason I like the ascending part of this. Now, the last one was the descending, you say?
They're both the same. They're both
Both ascending, okay, yeah. And well, that's just saying that it's still staying inside of this, what I call this bigger wedge area. But if I look at this area, we had a nice strong drop, and this, I'm looking at this area right in here to see what it's going to do. The original alert was basically from a 15-minute standpoint. Here was where the alert was. This was the last candle before the alert. So if you're looking at this candle right here, this is the range of operation from that first alert.
Beach Panda says, I love the thinking out of the box, like the U.S. Marines motto, adapt and overcome.
There
Al,
you
are
go. There
a
you go.
former-
That's pretty much it.
He's asking, are you a former U.S. Marine, or are you just a true soldier of the markets and strategize like the generals do?
No, I was not a Marine. I was Air Force though. So we think out of the box there too.
Getting a little personal there, eh, Beach?
So right now, I mean, you see there's a lot of activity right here. We had a nice breakout, came back up, back into the wedge, back into this range. This is where all just range bound, right? And there's where all the bars and stuff, it comes out, comes back in. If you move this thing over a little bit more, you can see where, even from the overnight, you can see where it base broke out, came back in, took out, came back in, came back out, came back in, go back out, come back in. Right now, I'm looking for it to come back out to the downside to, again, to retest. It hasn't been tested. This 62, the 30-minute 62 hasn't been tested since Friday. So it does have some little bit of upward strength. It is moving upward, but we're also giving up a little bit of range on the 15-minute is still holding, still showing support with that. So you still have this little gap in here where it hasn't really been tested yet. Test a little bit right here just before this last alert, the alert at 6:30. But right now it's still it's just range bound right now. It's just, there isn't much volume. It's only an 8-pip range. It's been an 8-pip range for the last hour or so for. So until you get some volume and some volatility, it's all you're going to be doing is just getting yourself whipsawed.
When you have a moment, I'll just read the Q&A.
Okay. Let me slide on up to the newer one here. No, thank you, Beach Panda. Well, so my goal is to try and get everybody profitable and take profitable trades. So I don't win them all myself. Sometimes I take some that are aggressive. I did take that one and I did get stopped out, but it was a small loss, but I thought it was worth a shot. I know it's still trading inside this this wedge. And it's a good chance it's going to come up and retest the top of it again. But right now it's just not moving enough to, it's not getting us the entries, the confirmed entries enough to really take it.
Matt's had to go off and take a phone call.
Okay.
So I did have a look at the New Zealand US, and it's
Yeah.
just kind of ranging within the wedge.
Kind of do the same. It's kind of doing the same thing that the Aussie's doing.
Yeah. Just hanging around in the center.
I still favor this Aussie to the downside, even though it's still hanging in there. It's hanging right in the. It's hanging up right in about the bottom third of this range. If I draw my little Fibonacci range bar here from the, I'll take it from where the last bounce was here, and you can see it's just right now, it's right in a little bit of the middle. It came off the bottom third. Right now it's in the middle third. And there's a good chance it's going to come on up to the top third. But no, again, we don't know if it's going to break out of the top or if it's, we're coming up on the 9 o'clock hour. So we may get a little bit of a movement here on this.
Hey, I'm back. I apologize. That was a very important phone call that I could not miss.
That's okay.
So what are we looking at?
Well, we're still looking at the Aussie and the New Zealand. I haven't really shown the New Zealand because that looks like it's running the same pattern, so to speak, as the Aussie is range bound into.
It sure is. It sure is. It's just that the Kiwi looks a little bit better. But we'll see.
Well, let's take a look at the Kiwi since this one's not really doing much.
The wedge is really nice on the Kiwi. It's a nice wedge.
You go and find one here.
Yeah. It's a very nice wedge. Like very compliant. It's got 4 tags to the top trend line and it's going for a 5th one. So it's very, let me see if I can make that a little bit better here. So my eyes were a little bit off.
My wedge must look a little different from yours.
Yeah, I've got 3 officially. I thought it was 4, but.
What was the time on that one?
8:30.
8:30 descending?
Yeah. So you got a really nice bottom here too. So this is good.
We're looking at this as the, let's see, I'm looking at, here's the high.
Yep.
There's the, well, actually, here's the overnight low. There's the overnight low. Here's the next high. Here's the, and so this is the area that we're looking at for.
Yeah, it's a little bit further down than I did. I just did a flat bottom, but it's all good. Yeah. It's not going to change much. It's only going to be a pip or something.
And then so if it breaks to the upside, we could probably do a measurement of, I usually, well, we could take this one from over here, take this over to here. Okay, have a flat top, you had a flat bottom. So either way, it's going to be about the same.
Yeah, because we were kind of looking for a descending wedge. So I'm gonna line this up on the 5.
And let's see, this was the alert. This was here is the 15-minute candle before the alert, which is this one right here. Check this range right there. We did get a break. That's a 15-minute close up to the upside. We have a little slope trend line from the C to these two. Let's see if it can break that, but it has to get and see if it does break the top of this wedge. What are our targets? Looking at, I'll come over here, looking at, here's the little, here's where the high was. This is the origin of the down move, which is being tested right now up in this area. So I would say there's a little bit of an area. If it breaks through this AC range, we're looking at this range right up in here for a target.
Yeah, we might have an interesting bounce at 68.80.
Hal,
Yes.
your vertical line is not at 8:15.
It
Yeah,
was 8:15.
it was 8:15.
Well,
Yeah,
that's I'm on an hour chart here. That's why.
yeah.
Oh, that'll do
Because
it.
even my box on the 15 is different than yours.
8:15 is right. So okay.
Just
This
now-
is the
Yeah, it's just now breaking out of the top of the box itself.
So it looks like the dollar is starting to show a little bit of weakness here to the Aussie, showing a little bit of weakness to the New Zealand.
All right, let's look for a bounce here. Right here. Do we get a bounce? Oh yeah, I'm on the 5-minute chart. No wonder. I was wondering why one chart looks significantly different than the other one. Oh man, that's a clean to the pip bounce. Let's see what's gonna happen. And that is a breach by 1 pip, not enough to. Oh, you got a 513.62 cross. I didn't notice that. Yep, I am not sitting in a buy with that. So we got 9:05 time frame. That just it didn't close outside of my trend line yet.
Nope, it hasn't. And here's the trend line I'm looking at right up here. So if it breaks this, what's our range on to the top of this trend line to here? We're only looking at 10 pips. So could be possibly get 10 pips to the top of the. If it breaks this to the top, we're still going to have this other area we have to be getting through here.
I'm taking it long right now. So we had the cross and then we had the break of the trend line. So it's a very tight stop loss. I'm not gonna let it go till it's probably like 5 pip stop loss or something. The reason I trust that trend line where it is because of the that big scouter wick, the first hit that we used to the top. That was a very, very dominant point. And then the second one, so on your 1 minute chart, it's going to show you really nicely, Al.
This scouter wick right here, that's when you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that one there. That's gold. That's as good as it gets for a rejection point.
Mhm.
Because that's the scout is going out and he's checking the battlefield and he's saying, nope, we're not going up there. And that's why it just went down and just clobbered. Now it tried it again and it went to the pip again, that second hit that we used. And then it made a flat bottom. So we got that other hit at the bottom and then we got a W and then we got a break to the top of the trend line. So for me, that looks pretty good right now.
But what about the top of this over here?
That's fine.
Is that your target?
Nope. Not yet. I'm going to put, let's see, from the wedge, my stick is going to be, oh, it's a big stick.
Softly and carry a big stick. As they say.
Yes. 69 is where the stick stops. So 6,900.
Right in this white zone right here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if mine goes the same place here.
So we're coming back down. We're going to check the wedge on the 1 minute chart. Are you on the 5? I think you are, right? 15. Okay.
15 right here.
Okay.
This one takes it up even higher. Although I like this area a little bit better for the.
Yeah. I do as well.
That puts us right up here at the right here. You said 6,900.
Mm-hmm. What I try to do when I do the stick is I'll take the slope of the trend line and then I'll use the bottom, and then wherever the two of them make a straight line top to bottom, that's what I'll use as a stick. If you want a more conservative target, you can cut your stick in half, and instead of going for 20 pips, you can go for 10. You're still making your 2%.
I would still like to see a close above this pivot right here.
Mm-hmm.
This was rejected twice right up in this area.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
And this was on the 15-minute.
Excuse me.
I'd like
So
to
you're
see a close.
saying
I'd like to see a close.
68.86?
I would like to see a close in this box right here.
68.86 is what you want. It's consolidating pretty hard up there.
Let's see, we're at 9 o'clock yet. Yep, we're after 9 o'clock. Yeah, I'm still looking at this being in the upper third. That's just, I think it's, well, I
Here
don't
we
know.
go. Here we go.
Right now we're still in the Right now we're in the upper third of this range. Let's see if we can break through the top.
It's really taken a long time to break that. I'm not liking it.
So both this and the Aussie have been very much range bound this morning.
Very. So it's forming a little wedge on the 1 minute chart. Because you had so 1, 2, 3, and then this might be the 4 wave, but I'm not an Elliotician, so excuse me.
Moving awfully slow considering the strength of the Kiwi.
Oh yeah, it's one of the strongest one right now.
It's on the 5 minute, it's 7. On the 15, it's 7. Well, now it just went to 6. On the 1 minute, it's gotten lower though. It's gone down.
Okay. Okay. That means it could just be a retracement.
Let's see what the Aussie's doing here. Aussie's doing much the same thing.
People sometimes mistakenly compare the two and say they're like twins, but they have different. They move differently for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like it's either the Aussie. I think it's the Aussie that is connected more towards resources and stuff, kind of like the Canadian dollar. So.
Isn't the Aussie connected to gold?
Aussie does have, they do gold down there.
Yes, a lot of mining, right?
The Aussie kangaroo gold coin that's sort of from an Australian mint.
The Aussie kangaroo gold dollar?
Well, it's the kangaroo. It's a gold coin that they mint.
Well, that's cool. I want a kangaroo.
Well, you can get one for about $2,000.
Okay, okay. Well, maybe I'll
I'm good.
hold off for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeesh.
All right, we're coming up, it's 9:15. We're coming up near the end of the day. Anybody in the room have any questions, comments?
We have, oh, Beach Panda is just saying, yeah, the Aussie US is correlated to gold as their central bank is backed by gold. Other than that, we don't seem to have any questions.
And Beach Panda, did you get the email that I sent you the other day? Just let me know that you got it.
It says yes, it went
Okay.
into spam and he
Good.
just found it. Thank you.
Okay, all right, good.
Kiwi's taking its time, but I think once it starts to go, it's going to go.
Yeah, it might do that. It might do that. It's still making its consolidation, so
Mhm.
it still hasn't broken the trend line to the downside though, so that's a good sign. And as I say that, it's gonna slice right through it. No, I'm kidding.
Don't say that.
I've seen that unfortunately happen too many times when I talk. So it's like
Yeah.
the
All right, now I just see two range-bound pairs that are trading between the range of the upper trend line and the bottom trend line of the wedge, which we drew earlier. And I say until it breaks out of that range, you could either try change if you want to be trading. I would say just leave it alone until it breaks the range. Or if you're going to, if you want to try and grab some of these pips in as it makes the inner movement of the wedge, just try and just go from one end to the other end. But make sure you get a good entry on it. Right now, it just seems to me like they're just trading inside the this range, and this is getting smaller and smaller as, like I said, as we get further outside of the as this thing wedge gets further and further out, it's getting more narrow all the way. But right now, it's still pretty much just range bound. This one may come back and retest the wedge, and this. But right now we don't have the volume right now. We may get another 10 minutes. We may get some volume coming in as the U.S. market opens. And there's not a lot to talk about with this, is there? At least not right now.
Not really, no.
Like I said, I'm still looking at this being a supply zone up here, entering to go short when it comes up. And you can see it's actually making a little bit lower highs. This is pretty much an equal high right here, but here's the high, here's the low. Here's a lower high right up here where we have the enter to close area. And here's a pretty much an equal low. So it's forming its own little secondary wedge type of thing here. And I would be looking at this and it would put this on this is not a confirmed. Actually, this one is kind of confirmed now. We have the anchor, here's the hit, here's the third hit right there. That confirms this trend line. And on the bottom side, we have an anchor. Here's a hit. Not confirmed. This one has not been confirmed. And also we have our 30-minute RSI moving average down here. You know, all the moving averages are in the correct direction to go bullish. We have all the moving averages are on the right direction for the 15, the 5, and right now it's working on whether or not it's going to, the one just flipped on this pullback. We did have the test of the, we did have the break of the 15, and we had the break of the 5 to the down, 15 to the downside. But now, right now, it's sort of like seeing if it's going to retest this area. This white box here was the 15-minute box before the alert. So this is a range that's pretty much almost like a magnet's coming back into this range to decide what it's going to do. It may pop out the bottom, come back in, and we could have that type of movement for quite a bit of the time. So just be very careful with this one. It's not giving us a real clear direction of the fact it's coming back into a range that it seems to be happy being in before it just takes off, comes back in, takes off, comes back in. And the Aussie seems to be doing much the same type of thing. Back in the box, bounced, trying to see if it's going to change direction again.
Typical Monday, really, isn't it?
A kind of a typical Monday, yeah. But these areas act like almost like magnets where it just takes off, comes back in, takes off, comes back in. And then eventually it starts to trend. But like I said, with the Aussie, we had the a nice big move on Friday. Had overnight, nice overnight move. Overnight for Sunday, Monday morning. But this was the move it had. You can see where this had a nice big move on Friday, based. I mean, it's still bullish from a daily standpoint, but keep in mind that this was where this whole down move came from, and now it's starting to retest. It did come back, tested the low here, and now it's coming back to retest this area where this whole move came from. And you have some supply here, you have some supply here. Once we got the break of this line right on this one, which was the high, this was the Friday's high, or Thursday's high rather. And that's where we are. It's right in the middle of where this box, this is where it's trying to decide which way to go. And if we look at some, see where our fib lines are. We have our fib supply, which is right where that blue line was, pretty much, just a little bit higher, right in there. So 50-minute, that means there's a lot of, on several different time frames, this is going to be a very key point right here. This is our 15-minute blue.
So Beach says he trades the London and the New York sessions due to his hours that he keeps. Sailor's hours, he says, from dawn till midnight. So how lucrative is your trading with the London Beach Panda? Just out of curiosity.
The London U.S. market should be a fairly decent market. Usually from the London Open to the morning session of the U.S. market is usually generally a fairly decent session to trade.
It's the most liquid, and it's got some of the best trades. People specifically wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to trade it.
Yeah, he says London does better for me due to the activity.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
time does London actually open? U.S. East Coast time?
Oh, I don't
5
know.
o'clock? I think it's 5 o'clock. I know it
4:35 or something like that.
I know it changes. I know it changes during when we change
3
time.
a.m.
Daylight savings time.
He says 3 a.m. Eastern Standard.
3 a.m. Eastern is where. Okay, thank you.
And then it closes when? At 11? Is it 11 Eastern? I think we overlap for a couple hours, something like that. Yeah, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, thank you. Did it change when we changed our clocks?
Yeah.
Well, they change over there as well.
Yeah, it does. I know a lot of times, and they don't change the same weekend either. So sometimes you
No.
get that extra hour overlap during that changeover for a couple of weeks, which causes another confusion factor for a lot of people, myself included. I'm generally not up that time of the day, but sometimes I wake up and catch some of it.
Well,
Yeah, as a rule, I'm sleeping.
whoa, the S&P just took a huge dive and I caught it.
Nice.
Yeah,
So it got obliterated.
it just, as you like to say, melted.
Yeah.
I guess get in preparation for the US Open.
Yep, that's what it does. 2 more minutes.
I don't know how well that's going to do for our Kiwi trade. I'm in it as a buy. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I did not get into the Kiwi.
All
Right
I
now,
can say is I'm
right now the
grateful for
Aussie's coming back in to retest these moving averages right in the middle of our zone here. It's retesting the 15-minute fib line. And the U.S. market is now open for business.
Okay. So
Okay, well, it is now 9:30, so unless anybody has any questions or comments, we will wrap this thing up today. Keep your powder dry. Be careful with your trades today. Today's Monday. And we'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
have a good day, everybody. See you
Stay
tomorrow.
green.